The dark silence of space stretched endlessly, broken only by the soft hum of the Triac Dominion's warships. Their fleet, vast and powerful, glided like a river of metal through the cold void. For centuries, the Triac had ruled this region without challenge. Their sensors were perfect, their strategy flawless, and their enemies either crushed or fled before they could react. But today something unexpected appeared. A tiny blip flickered on the sensors of the lead ship, the Vorak dreadnought. It was small, distant, and almost invisible among the stars, yet the readings were unusual. The energy signature was unlike anything the Dominion had catalogued. One of the junior officers leaned forward, squinting at the display. "Commander, there's a human warship entering our sector," he said, his voice trembling slightly. The word human made the command deck fall silent. Humans were not a major threat. They were scattered, unpredictable, and usually weak compared to the might of the Dominion. Every fleet had encountered a human ship at some point, and every time it had been simple: scan, neutralize, move on. But something about this ship felt different. Commander Thrax, his clawed hand tapping the console impatiently, stared at the screen. His sensors tried to analyze the ship, but the data kept changing. Shields fluctuated in ways his instruments could not understand. Weapon systems were active, but their patterns did not match any known configuration. "Impossible," he growled. "This ship shouldn't even exist. No human could build this." On the bridge, the crew murmured among themselves. Nervous whispers floated through the air. Every officer knew that a miscalculation could mean disaster. Yet no one wanted to admit the truth. They were scared. The human ship moved with quiet confidence, almost like it belonged there, in the heart of the Dominion's territory. Thousands of kilometers away, the human vessel, the Resolute, glided calmly toward the alien fleet. Its sleek gray hull reflected the faint light of nearby stars. Inside, Captain Elena Voss stood on the bridge, her eyes scanning the distant glimmer of the Dominion ships. Her crew worked efficiently, moving from console to console, adjusting shields, calibrating weapons, running simulations. The hum of the ship's engine filled the room, steady and strong. Elena took a deep breath. "They don't know we're here yet," she said softly, her voice calm but full of determination. Her eyes met those of her first officer. "And when they do, we'll show them what humans can do." The Dominion sensors continued to ping. Every reading seemed wrong, confusing, and impossible. The ship's energy signature flickered, alternated, and shifted unpredictably. The more the aliens tried to scan it, the less they understood. Panic began to creep into the command deck. They had never faced an opponent that could defy their sensors so completely. On the Resolute, the humans were aware of the alien fleet, but they were not afraid. Fear, after all, was something humans had learned to control. They had survived worse, fought harder, and adapted faster than any enemy expected. Elena's crew trusted her, and she trusted them. Together, they were ready for the impossible. The first signals of alarm reached the Dominion. Their sensors were struggling. Reports came in from every ship. "We can't read the shields. Weapon output is inconsistent. The hull energy? It's changing." Commander Thrax slammed a claw onto the console. Rage, confusion, and fear burned in his chest. No one had ever made him feel this way. And yet in the cold vastness of space, the human ship moved steadily forward. It was calm, quiet, and utterly prepared. To the Dominion, it was an anomaly, a puzzle they could not solve. To the humans, it was just another challenge, a battle they were born to face. The tension grew. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath as two very different civilizations prepared to collide. And somewhere deep inside the heart of the Dominion, a thought began to form, dark and slow. They are not ready for this. The Resolute drifted deeper into the Triac Dominion's territory, moving silently among the stars. Its engines hummed softly, steady and reliable, while outside the alien fleet gathered like a storm on the horizon. Hundreds of ships glinted in the faint starlight, massive and terrifying, their sharp edges designed to intimidate, yet none of their might fazed the humans inside the warship. Captain Elena Voss stood on the bridge, her hands clasped behind her back. Her eyes were fixed on the distant alien formations, but her mind was calm, calculating, alive. She had trained for this moment her entire life. Every battle simulation, every crisis drill, every sleepless night had prepared her crew for one truth: humans never gave up. They adapted, they endured, and they fought with courage that no alien sensor could measure. Her first officer, Lieutenant Marcus Rell, leaned close. "Captain, the Dominion is scanning aggressively." "They know we're here." Elena nodded, her face unreadable. "Let them scan," she said quietly. "They won't understand what they find." Inside the Dominion fleet, panic was growing. Their sensors pinged and scanned, but the readings were erratic. The human warship's shields fluctuated unpredictably. Its hull emitted strange energy pulses, and its weapon systems didn't match any known pattern. Officers shouted over the alarms, claws slamming consoles, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. Commander Thrax, towering and fierce, paced the bridge of the Vorik dreadnought. His sharp eyes scanned the reports flooding in. "Impossible," he roared. "Every reading is wrong. How can a single human ship exist with such power?" His officers exchanged worried glances. They had faced humans before. They knew humans could be clever, but nothing had prepared them for this. Every simulation failed. Every tactic seemed ineffective. Their most trusted strategies were falling apart before they could even be executed. Back on the Resolute, Elena's crew moved with quiet precision. Each human knew their role, each action was timed perfectly. Shields adjusted, weapons calibrated, communications remained silent but ready. It was a calm that hid a storm. "Scans indicate they're trying to predict our movements," said Lieutenant Rell. "But they're failing. Their coordination is slipping." Elena nodded. "Good. Let them think they understand us. Confusion is our ally. Humans are strongest when no one expects what we'll do next." The alien fleet bristled with nervous energy. Even the smallest human ship had become a threat. The Dominion's intelligence, once feared throughout this sector, was now scrambling. Reports of sensor failures, weapon anomalies, and shield fluctuations kept coming. The more they tried to analyze, the less sense it made. Every action the humans took seemed designed to outsmart every expectation. On the Resolute, a young engineer named Kara Lind checked the shield relays. "Captain," she said, voice tense but focused, "the alien scans are bouncing off our hull. They can't get a clean reading. It's working." Elena smiled faintly. "Excellent. Keep it that way. Every misread, every failed scan is a step closer to victory." For the Triac Dominion, fear began to take root. A single human warship had entered their space, and for the first time they were unprepared. They had weapons, numbers, technology, but none of it seemed to matter. The humans were unpredictable, and unpredictability was dangerous. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath as the two sides waited. The calm of the Resolute was a quiet storm, a silent promise of what was to come, and somewhere deep inside the Triac fleet, Commander Thrax's fury grew, tinged with fear. They had assumed humans were weak, but this one ship had already shattered that assumption. The galaxy watched in silence as two worlds, one built on centuries of control, the other on resilience and courage, prepared to collide. And in that calm before the storm, one truth was clear. Humans were not here to run, they were here to fight. The stillness of space shattered in an instant. A single Triac scout ship, sleek and deadly, surged forward from the Dominion fleet, its engines blazing like a comet. It had been sent to investigate, to test the human vessel. The aliens believed it would be a simple encounter, scan the human ship, report back, and confirm dominance. But they had underestimated humanity. On the bridge of the Resolute, the alarm lights blinked softly. Captain Elena Voss turned to her crew. "They're coming in fast. Prepare for engagement," she said, her voice steady and calm. No one panicked. Every human knew their training, every human knew their purpose. They had faced danger before, and they would do it again. The scout ship fired its first pulse of energy, a bright streak slicing across the void. Sensors on the Resolute flared, shields snapping to life, but the attack barely touched the hull. Elena had anticipated this. Countermeasures online. Fire back in 3, 2, 1. The human ship's weapons responded with precision. A pulse of focused energy hit the scout ship directly. There was no dramatic explosion, no wasted power. Just a clean strike that shredded the alien vessel's engines and weapon systems. The scout ship tumbled helplessly before dissolving into fragments. "Shields held," Lieutenant Marcus Rell called, his face lighting up with quiet triumph. But the celebration was brief. Outside, dozens more alien ships loomed, their sensors frantic, their formations faltering. Every shot fired by the humans seemed to find a weak point, every maneuver calculated to expose vulnerabilities. Inside the Dominion fleet, chaos erupted. Commander Thrax slammed a clawed hand against the console. "How? How can a single human destroy a ship without even being scanned fully? His voice echoed through the bridge, filled with disbelief and fear. The Dominion officers scrambled, trying to adapt, trying to predict the humans' next move. But it was useless. The Resolute was already elsewhere, preparing for another attack. Elena's eyes were cold and focused. She watched the sensors on her own ship, noting every fluctuation in the enemy fleet. They're trying to coordinate, but their system can't keep up, she said softly. Good, let them struggle. Let them fear. That is our advantage. The human crew moved like a single organism, each person attuned to the other. Engineers patched minor shield fluctuations instantly. Gunners calculated the enemy's weak points without hesitation. Communication officers relayed critical information faster than any computer could process. Every human on the ship understood one truth. Survival required courage, skill, and unity. Commander Thrax felt the fear gnawing at him. His sensors, which had always been flawless, could not read the human vessel. The shields fluctuated unpredictably, energy pulses changed frequency constantly, and the ship's movements were erratic yet precise. Every time they tried to anticipate the humans had already anticipated them. Prepare a full assault, Thrax bellowed. Destroy it! I do not care what it takes. Even as the Dominion fleet rallied, the Resolute moved with unmatched grace. One strike disabled the lead ship's engines, another disrupted a weapons array. The human ship was a puzzle the aliens could not solve, a force that did not fit their rules, a storm they could not predict. In the quiet of the bridge, Elena allowed herself a brief moment of reflection. She thought of humanity, small and fragile, yet unyielding. They were underestimated for centuries, yet here they were, proving that courage, intelligence, and adaptability could overcome any odds. She glanced at her crew and whispered, "This is only the beginning. They are not ready for us." And in that moment, the galaxy felt a shift. The Dominion, once unchallenged, had discovered something new, something terrifying. Humans were not simply survivors. Humans were warriors, and the first contact, the very first clash, had already proven that this was not going to be a simple battle. The stars, cold and distant, seemed to watch silently as the human warship carved a path through the Dominion fleet, a reminder that bravery and ingenuity often outweighed raw power. The void of space erupted into chaos. The Triac Dominion's fleet fired in unison, energy blasts and plasma beams streaking across the dark expanse. Hundreds of alien ships moved like a storm, a terrifying wave of metal and fire, each vessel bristling with weapons designed to crush any opposition. But the Resolute glided through it all with uncanny precision, a single human warship standing against a seemingly endless fleet. Captain Elena Voss's hands moved confidently across the bridge controls. Keep shields at maximum. Adjust vectors to intercept the energy pulses. Target weak points as they appear, she instructed, her voice calm but firm. Her crew responded instantly, each human moving with perfect coordination. It was not just skill. It was instinct honed by training, bravery, and the kind of focus only humans could achieve under pressure. The first wave of Triac ships tried to surround the Resolute, expecting a simple victory. They fired barrage after barrage, plasma cutting through space like deadly ribbons. But the human ship twisted, accelerated, and decelerated in patterns no algorithm could predict. Energy pulses bounced harmlessly off the shields. Weapons fired back with exacting precision, striking engines, sensor arrays, and weapon systems. One by one, alien ships faltered, their formations breaking apart like glass under pressure. Target the lead cruiser, Elena ordered. It coordinates their fleet. Without it, their attacks will collapse. Lieutenant Rel's fingers danced across the console, calculating angles, speeds, and energy outputs. Within moments, a perfectly timed strike disabled the lead cruiser's engines. It spun helplessly, drifting into the chaos around it, a testament to the human's ability to turn strategy into execution. Commander Thrax, watching through failing sensors, felt a cold dread tighten in his chest. Every calculation, every maneuver his officers attempted fell apart. The humans did not act as the Dominion expected. Their systems adapted, their weapons reacted intelligently, and their movements were unpredictable. Thrax's pride, his belief in the invincibility of the Dominion, began to crumble. Yet the Resolute did not celebrate. Elena's eyes remained sharp, scanning for any sign of weakness. Every human on the bridge felt the weight of the battle, but none wavered. The fight was not just about survival. It was about proving that humanity, no matter how small in numbers, could stand against the greatest empire in the galaxy. A Triac frigate attempted a surprise attack from behind. Its plasma cannons flared, a deadly trail aimed directly at the human ship's rear shields. But the humans were ready. Sensors detected the movement instantly. Shields reoriented, energy pulses countered, and the frigate was disabled in a single, precise strike before it could retreat. "Every ship they send, we can handle," Rel said, awe in his voice. "They underestimate us, and it's costing them everything." Elena nodded. "They assume numbers equal strength. Humans know better. Strength is in courage, unity, and ingenuity. That is what they will never understand." The Dominion's fleet began to fracture. Ships collided as their coordination failed, some retreating in confusion, others disabled by the humans' precise strikes. Commander Thrax's fury turned to desperation. He had expected fear from the humans, not domination. His fleet was crumbling before his eyes, and his sensors, once flawless, were now giving erratic readings of the ship that refused to be read. Through it all, the humans moved with quiet confidence. Every move was calculated, every risk measured. They were not just fighting. They were teaching the galaxy a lesson that would echo for generations. Humans were more than fragile creatures in fragile ships. They were clever, courageous, and relentless. And as the Resolute soared through the devastation, leaving a trail of disabled ships in its wake, the Triac Dominion realized something they had never imagined. No empire, no matter how powerful, could fully predict, control, or conquer a human spirit that refused to break. In the vast emptiness of space, the battle raged on, but one truth was clear. The humans were not just surviving. They were defining what it meant to fight, to endure, and to conquer against impossible odds. The battle had raged for hours, yet the Resolute remained unbroken. The Triac Dominion's fleet, once confident in their supremacy, was now scattered and panicked. Every ship that tried to advance was met with precise, devastating fire. Sensors had failed, strategies had failed, and morale had crumbled. Commander Thrax could feel the weight of defeat pressing down, though he refused to admit it aloud. Captain Elena Voss stood on the bridge, calm amid the storm. Her eyes swept over the alien fleet, noting every weak point, every flaw in their coordination. She spoke softly, but her words carried the authority of someone who had faced the impossible countless times. "Focus fire on their command vessels. Without coordination, they cannot fight effectively. Every ship counts. Make it precise. Make it count." Her crew worked in perfect synchronization. Lieutenant Marcus Rel adjusted the trajectory of a plasma blast, while Kara Lind, the engineer, recalibrated the shields to deflect an unexpected energy wave. Every human on the bridge understood one thing clearly. Their survival depended not on fear, but on courage, intelligence, and unity. The Dominion, sensing their situation slipping out of control, gathered their remaining forces for a final concentrated assault. Thousands of energy blasts lit up space, converging on the human warship from every direction. The Resolute's shields flared, absorbing the impact with minimal strain, while the humans retaliated with precise strikes that dismantled engines and weapon arrays. One by one, the alien ships faltered, their formations dissolving into chaos. Commander Thrax's voice roared through the remaining operational ships. "Focus everything on the human. Do not let it escape. Strike together, destroy it now." But the humans were ready. Elena's mind was already 3 steps ahead, predicting their desperate moves. Flank from both sides. Anticipate their direction, then strike their weapons first. Make every shot disable, not destroy. It is about control, not chaos. The humans' response was swift and calculated. Triac ships that had thought themselves safe found their weapons suddenly useless. Engines failing, shields flickering unpredictably. The Dominion's carefully planned assault collapsed under the weight of the human ship's relentless strategy. For the first time, the Triac felt fear, true fear, the kind that comes not from pain, but from realizing they had underestimated their enemy completely. Inside the Resolute, Elena allowed herself a brief moment to observe the battlefield. The human crew moved like a single organism, each individual performing their role perfectly. Every shot fired was deliberate. Every maneuver anticipated, every action guided by courage and instinct. Elena thought of humanity's history, small, fragile, yet persistent. Humans had always faced impossible odds, yet here they were again, standing tall against the galaxy's greatest empire. Lieutenant Rel glanced at her. Captain, we're breaking their formation. The remaining ships are retreating. Elena's lips curved into a faint smile. Good, let them flee. Let them learn what it means to underestimate a human. Even as the Dominion began to retreat, chaos continued to ripple through their ranks. Ships collided. In confusion, weapons misfired and sensors scrambled, trying in vain to track the elusive human vessel. Commander Thrax, watching helplessly, clenched his claws in fury. The humans had not just survived, they had dismantled his fleet, proving that ingenuity, courage, and unity could overcome even the greatest technological superiority. In the quiet moments that followed, the Resolute drifted among the wreckage of the Dominion fleet. The stars glimmered around them, indifferent to the battle that had unfolded. Yet inside the ship, the humans knew they had achieved something extraordinary. They had faced an overwhelming force and had not only survived, they had changed the balance of power, if only for this battle. Elena looked at her crew, proud but serious. Remember this moment, she said softly. Humans survive because we adapt. Humans fight because we refuse to give up. And humans will never be predictable. In that moment, amid the ruins of the Dominion fleet, one truth became undeniable. Humanity was not just strong. It was unstoppable when united, clever, and brave. The galaxy had seen a glimpse of what humans could do, and no censor, no fleet, and no empire would ever forget it. The battle had ended, but the echoes of chaos still lingered in the dark vacuum of space. The Resolute floated among the wreckage of the Dominion fleet, its hull scarred, shields flickering, yet its systems humming with quiet strength. The crew moved through the bridge, exhausted but alive. Some wiped sweat from their brows, others checked systems again and again. Every human aboard understood the truth. They had survived something that should have destroyed them. Captain Elena Voss stood in the center of the bridge, her eyes fixed on the distant stars. She felt a mixture of relief and sorrow. Relief that her crew had survived, and sorrow for the lives lost, even on the enemy side. War was never clean, never easy, but in this moment she allowed herself a quiet reflection. Humanity had faced the impossible once more, and they had endured. Lieutenant Marcus Rel broke the silence. Captain, it's incredible. We did it. We actually survived against their entire fleet. His voice trembled with awe. Elena turned to him, her expression calm but filled with quiet pride. Survival isn't just about strength or numbers, Marcus. It's about courage, adaptability, and the refusal to give up. Every human aboard this ship proved that today. The young engineer, Kara Lind, adjusted a console and let out a long breath. I never thought we'd make it. But we did. We actually did it, Elena nodded. Yes, we did. But remember this, we survived because we trusted each other, because we worked as one. Fear exists in everyone, but it does not control us. Courage does. Ingenuity does. And humanity never backs down. Outside, the stars were silent witnesses to the devastation left in the wake of the battle. Triac ships drifted aimlessly, some attempting to retreat, others destroyed completely. The Dominion had learned a lesson, but humans did not rejoice in their enemies' failures. Victory was not just about winning. It was about proving, in the face of overwhelming odds, what humans were capable of. Elena walked slowly along the bridge, observing her crew. Fatigue weighed heavily on them, yet there was a glow in their eyes, a spark that no battle could extinguish. Humans were fragile in many ways, yet resilient in ways no sensor could measure. Each member of her crew had faced fear and pushed through it, not because of technology, but because of the human spirit. She thought of humanity as a whole, scattered across countless planets, often underestimated, often doubted. And yet when the time came, humans had a way of rising to the challenge, defying expectations and changing the course of events through determination and courage. That same spirit had carried them through this battle, and it would carry them through countless others. Marcus approached Elena, his voice quiet. Captain, do you think the Dominion will ever understand what we are? Elena smiled faintly, her gaze returning to the stars. No, and that is the advantage. They can try to measure us, analyze us, even fear us, but they will never fully understand humans. We are unpredictable, we are resilient, and we are relentless. For a long moment, the bridge was silent except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. The crew allowed themselves to feel the weight of what had just happened. They had faced the greatest fleet in the sector and survived. They had proven that courage, ingenuity, and unity were stronger than raw power. Elena finally spoke again, her voice calm but resolute. This is what it means to be human. We face the impossible. We fight when others would flee, and we endure when others would break. Remember this. Humanity is never helpless. Humanity is never weak. And humanity is always ready for the next challenge. Outside, the Resolute drifted through the silent stars, a single human warship against the vast emptiness of space. Yet within that ship, a universe of courage and determination burned brighter than any fleet, any weapon, any sensor. The humans had survived, and they had left their mark on the Dominion, a mark that would not be forgotten. In that quiet moment after the storm, the galaxy had glimpsed the truth. Humans were not just survivors, they were something more, something powerful, something that no empire could ever fully measure or contain. The battle was over. The Triac Dominion fleet had been shattered, scattered into fragments drifting in the cold void of space. The Resolute floated among the wreckage, its hull scarred, shields flickering but still alive, its engines humming steadily. The silence of the aftermath was heavy, almost sacred, as if the stars themselves were holding their breath. Captain Elena Voss stood on the bridge, her eyes scanning the distant wreckage. She felt a complex mix of relief, sorrow, and pride. Every life lost in battle weighed on her, both human and alien, but the humans had endured. They had survived against impossible odds. They had faced the mightiest fleet in the sector and emerged victorious, not through sheer numbers but through courage, intelligence, and unwavering determination. Lieutenant Marcus Rell leaned against a console, exhausted but smiling. "Captain, we actually did it. I never imagined a single ship could do this." Elena's gaze softened. "It wasn't just a single ship, Marcus. It was every human aboard this vessel, every human who refused to back down. Courage, unity, and adaptability. That is what allowed us to survive. That is what makes humans, humans." The crew moved quietly, checking systems, tending to minor damage, and sharing tired smiles. Though weary, they were alive, and that mattered. Humanity's survival often depended not on superior firepower, but on the determination to endure, to adapt, and to act as one. That determination had carried them through this battle, and it would carry them through countless others. Outside the Resolute, the stars were calm and indifferent, yet the Dominion's fleet would remember this encounter for centuries. Commanders would tell stories of the humans who had defied logic, who had outsmarted sensors and strategies, and who had faced annihilation with unwavering courage. They had underestimated humanity, and the cost had been staggering. Elena turned to her crew. "Remember this moment. Not for glory, not for fame, but for what it represents. Humans survive because we do not surrender. Humans fight because we refuse to be broken. And humanity is never predictable." A quiet hum filled the bridge as systems normalized. The ship had taken damage, yes, but every repair was a testament to the crew's skill and resolve. Even in adversity, humans adapted. Every flickering light, every recalibrated system was a symbol of their determination to endure. Kara Lind, the young engineer, whispered softly, almost to herself, We really showed them. They'll never forget this." Elena smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride swell in her chest. "They will remember. But more importantly, we will remember. We know what we are capable of, and that knowledge is stronger than any weapon or fleet." For a long moment, the bridge was silent, except for the soft hum of the Resolute. The crew allowed themselves to feel the weight of what they had accomplished. Against the galaxy's most formidable force, they had survived. They had fought. They had proved once again that humanity's strength lay not in size or numbers, but in courage, intelligence, and unity. In the distant reaches of space, the remnants of the Dominion fleet drifted helplessly. The once mighty empire had learned a harsh truth. Humans were not to be underestimated. Sensors could not measure courage. Algorithms could not predict ingenuity. And no empire, no matter how vast, could ever fully contain a human spirit that refused to break. Elena looked out the viewport one last time, the stars stretching endlessly before them. "We move forward," she said softly, almost to the stars themselves. "We endure, we adapt, we survive. And one day the galaxy will know that humanity is unstoppable." The Resolute powered onward, leaving the wreckage behind, carrying humanity's courage and spirit into the unknown. For the Triac Dominion, this was a lesson learned too late. For humanity, it was a promise. No matter how vast the darkness, no matter how strong the enemy, humans would always rise. And in that vast, silent galaxy, one truth shone brighter than any star. Humans were not merely survivors, they were warriors, relentless, clever, and unstoppable.